because I wanted to react to Wrestling Observer newsletter awards that Dave Meltzer puts out. Have his 300 fans of the newsletter give their opinions on
I mean, the
ranking their things. Now
you
we
mean
discussed it.
AEW Slammy Awards.
It's like now we covered this a little bit. I say a little bit, actually, quite a lot on the Takes Three Wrestling
You guys
podcast.
went long form on it.
I didn't plan to. We just kind of just did it,
No.
and honestly, we didn't even finish it. So I was told Mike we could literally split this thing into 2 episodes, honestly. But I want to go over with you a little bit about it. One thing's clear, and we said this on Take Three on Saturday, and I think you would probably agree with me on this. This is very AEW heavy. AEW marks to the nth degree.
Absolutely, and
annoying.
And I know that it's not Dave Meltzer awarding awards. However, it's Dave Meltzer's
nudging
letter. He's like the head of the Wrestling Observer. When you think Wrestling Observer, you think Dave Meltzer, you think Brian Alvarez. These guys are AEW marks.
Are you a subscriber of the newsletter?
I'm not. I'm not a subscriber to any of the newsletters and things like that. I never have been, because I figure like the biggest news that's going to be news is going to get out there.
Right.
And I know a few people that know a few people in the wrestling journalism business.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not me trying to fluff my feathers and make myself sound good, but I mean, we've been podcasting for 7 years. We've worked on the local indie scene in Central PA for a few years. Like, and you make connections, you meet people, and so if there's things that need to be found out, I we have the capability of finding them out, or they're just going to break on, they'll hit the Observer newsletter, or whatever at 10 a.m. They'll be on PW Mania at noon. you know, I just want, or it'll be on Twitter in an hour. Like,
and I think you got to pay for it too to do it.
Yeah, I don't pay for The Athletic. I don't pay for ESPN Plus or anything like that. I just don't. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. If people are into that, they're into it. But like, so it's Meltzer's creation, and we see the way Meltzer tweets. We see the way Meltzer, the way he treats AEW with things, and the way he treats WWE with things are very different, and other companies as well. So like, it's no surprise to me that when they put out these awards, that the voters, the people that are in that circle, are going to vote the rhetoric that they portray. I mean, not to bring up our favorite sports writer Clay Travis,
Kick.
But like, when the cult leader of Bro Kick puts out a poll on his Twitter, it's no surprise when 93% of the people vote the way, the same tenor and rhetoric and tone that Clay puts out there, because it's the people that listen to and follow Clay. So it's no surprise when the AEW, the Wrestling Observer Awards, already flip, when it's those awards, it ends up being.
But it's so
AEW.
grossly heavy-handed AEW. And look, I'm accused of being an AEW mark on my own podcast, and even I disagree with some of these selections. Like, for example, okay, so the only good thing about the Wrestler of the Year that really stood out to me, at least they showed Bayley some love. At least Bayley got some love. Number 6.
Yeah.
Among a lot of men.
But too low. Yeah.
Is Jon Moxley number 1? Is he top 3 Wrestler of the Year last year? Yeah. Top 3. I'll give it to you. But why the hell is Drew McIntyre number 5?
Right. Like, who are the other 3 that were above him?
Okay, well, was a lot of these people also like New Japan wrestlers too, like Naito and Kenny Omega's number 2. Kenny Omega was great last year, but Kenny Omega also was a tag team last year.
Yeah,
most of the year.
Kenny Omega did not have a better year than Drew McIntyre.
No, he did not, and that's not a knock on Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's amazing, but stop. You
Drew
know,
McIntyre, literally, because I mean, is it literally for January to December 2020? Like
that's what I assume. It's like from pillar to post 2020.
So Drew McIntyre's year was literally win the Royal Rumble by eliminate Brock Lesnar and win the Royal Rumble, beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the title, and pretty much carry the WWE Championship. With the exception of losing it for a month to Randy Orton.
Yeah,
he had the WWE Championship for a calendar year, and carried the company on his back.
Oh, by the way, he beat Seth Rollins. He beat Bobby Lashley.
Right.
He beat Randy Orton twice.
During the most difficult time and not just the WWE, but in the WWE's history, at least since the steroid trial, an empty arena, era of professional wrestling. Drew McIntyre carried, that company on his back, and especially because from WrestleMania until SummerSlam, Roman Reigns wasn't even in the mix on SmackDown. So like Drew was the face of the men's WWE, and carried that company, carried the brand. Yeah, I mean, just he definitely got disrespected being at number 5.
Yeah, tag team of the year, for example. Like I'm okay with the teams that are on the list, but the order again is to me is a little messy. Like, okay, I'm not a big Young Bucks fan personally. I hate tassels. You know that. They're phenomenal in the ring though. But Kenny Omega and Adam Page, that match against Young Bucks alone in Revolution last year should put them number 1. Why is Bayley and Sasha number 5?
Right, they should have been higher.
Much higher than that.
Where were the Street Profits?
They weren't even on the fucking list.
How?
Like I'm saying, it's ridiculous. But yet, but here's the fucked up part. And they've been misused like hell. And yet they're number 10 on this list. How the fuck is Santana Ortiz number 10?
I know. It's baffling, man. It's true. It's truly baffling. And like I
put
get
it this way, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler should be higher than them.
Yeah, probably. As sad as that is, and I get WWE isn't the bastion for tag team wrestling. I get that. Like, but when tag teams are great they're really good.
Right.
And the Street Profits were.
Yeah. How about the weekly TV show that stood out here? You have number 1, AEW Dynamite, obviously. Okay. NXT number 2, for the record. Which I agree with that. Raw's not even in the top 10. And look, I get Raw as Raw last year was up and down. I totally get that. But you cannot tell me that Raw is not at least a top 10 wrestling show.
Right. Like what? Read off the top 10 because I honestly.
Okay, so Dynamite 1, NXT 2, Being the Elite is number 3. The fucking YouTube show.
Right. It's not even a TV show.
How about this shit? AW Dark.
Like, here's the deal. Like, okay, so in defense, quote unquote, of being the elite, like, I get that YouTube, especially in today's world, can be considered television.
Which it is.
But like, it's not a wrestling show. It's like a documentary show about wrestlers. Like, if you were talking about the best football games of the year, would Hard Knocks make the top 10? No, because it's not a football game. It's a documentary about a football team. Like, that's what the elite is.
So how about this? AW Dark number 4. 1 hour and 17-minute matches in fucking 1 hour.
Talk about that almost every week about just the number of matches.
They gotta stop that shit, dude.
Like, look, I understand you're trying to feature people, but like, I don't ever want to hear. And here's the deal: like, you can believe what you want about WWE, you can believe what you want about AEW. I don't ever want to hear somebody tell me as a WWE fan that there's too much WWE programming. Yeah, there's 3 hours of Raw. What's main event? An hour. 205 Live. Then you have NXT and SmackDown.
I don't watch any of that stuff.
I mean, I don't either. But like, if we're gonna put out what's out there, that's 3 hours of Raw. 2 more, so it's 5, 6, 7. There's 9 hours of WWE programming a week.
Mm-hmm.
So AEW, you have 2 hours of Dynamite. You have anywhere between an hour 10 and 2.5 hours of AEW Dark.
Ridiculous.
You have Being the Elite, because if you want to know what's happening storyline wise in AEW, you're gonna have to watch Being the Elite, because they don't tell you about it on AEW.
Is that worth watching though? Oh, no,
I've never watched it,
yeah,
but
right.
I know they carry storylines on that show.
They do.
Yeah, they've done it. They've done it since the beginning. So like however long that is, what, half an hour, 40 minutes.
I thought it was like them watching Cody and Brandy. You fucking talk about for family life and like.
And now we're getting AEW Dark Elevation, which is going to be with Paul White and Shivani on commentary on Mondays. So don't tell me that WWE has too much content in a week. AEW is doing the same damn thing, But yeah, Dark being above SmackDown and Raw is a joke.
Yeah. Round out the last 6 years. So Dark is 4, SmackDown's 5, New Japan Strong is 6, Ring of Honor is 7, Impact 8, MLW Fusion 9, and NXT UK number 10. NXT UK is better than Raw? Like, stop.
Yeah,
they didn't have any shows last year.
If you like chest chops and like beardy guys, sure. And I'm not shitting on NXT UK, but like the British wrestling is British wrestling.
Right,
like,
and
Raw should be higher on the list. I'm not saying it should be number 1,
but also there was a half a year of no wrestling in the NXT UK.
Right, there was months without Ring of Honor. Impact, I think, had paused a time or two. MLW was paused for a while. Raw never stopped. SmackDown never stopped. NXT never stopped. SmackDown should have been above NXT if we're gonna be real serious about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. NXT tailed off the second half of the year, whereas SmackDown picked up, and SmackDown was kind of to start the year. So I draw even on that one because I tell you what, NXT start 2020 was off to the races, phenomenal.
It was, but even before Roman came back, I thought SmackDown was picking up steam. And obviously, ever since he came back, SmackDown has been the best wrestling show week in, week out. At least in the US.
Yeah. Women's MVP. I actually agree with this. Number 1's Bayley. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I would too. If this would have been a half-year award, it would have been Asuka.
Right.
But somewhere around late summer, early fall, Asuka started to plateau and come down because it got convoluted. But absolutely, Bayley. I agree.
You got Awatani number 2. I mean, I guess it's New Japan, I guess, but Sasha 3, okay. Asuka 4, Hikaru Shida's 5. A little too high for that. I like Hikaru Shida, but that's too high. Yeah. Only because Io Shirai is behind her.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta sell me on that. And again, I like Shida a lot. She's cute, but number 10, 3-way tie between Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, and Hana Kimura. Britt Baker was hurt, but Britt Baker made a lot of impact while hurt.
Yeah, and I'll give that credit. It was kind of a weird year, like because Charlotte was gone, Becky was gone, Sasha and Bayley absolutely killed it. Asuka killed it for a while, but in NXT, I mean, Io was kind of the biggest thing because Rhea had kind of disappeared there for a little while, and I think they got that one right though. That one they got fairly right. Shida maybe a little high. The AEW women's division is still not where it needs to be.
Oh, of course, not a question. Now, Feud the Year. I have somewhat issue with the first couple, although number 2 would have been number 1 had he stayed alive. It was Cody and Brody. Cody and Brody was about to be the best feud of the year.
I agree.
Had he stayed alive.
I agree.
Edge and Randy Orton, number 10. Where's Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre? Not in the top 10 at all.
Yeah, because I mean, Edge and Randy Orton was great, but it was very short.
Right. But where's Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre though? Not in the top 10.
Yeah, it should have been up there. So what was that? What was actually number 1?
Moxley and Kingston, which was good. Not number 1 good.
Number 1. It was a couple of weeks, and I get it. Like, that they have history, on the indie scene and this and that. But man, come on,
Dude,
I love
their
Kingston.
their top 7 is all AEW related feuds.
Sasha and Bailey, man. Sasha and Bailey should have been in the
Not
top.
on the list. Not on the list at all.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
The
And I understand that their feud, quote unquote, was short lived, but you could see that building for a while when they were
the
attacked.
only WWE feuds on this list is Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at number 8, and then like I said, Edge and Randy Orton number 10.
Yeah, Drew and Randy should have been up there. Edge and Randy. I still think Edge and Randy could have been higher. Somewhere around like 6, 7, because that was so good. You go back and you watch from when Orton RKO'd Beth Phoenix and stuff like man, it was good. It was good. Yeah, like the Drew and Randy, that was 70% of the year.
Yeah,
and it was good. And that's the thing, it was good. They had a good ambulance match. How does that not make a feud of the year?
Right. Okay, so check this out. Most overrated. Now, what they mean is most overpushed. Okay, I tend to agree with part of this list, except a few. Let me go backwards. Number 9, Charlotte Flair. I can see that, but I'm not going to make the case.
If their argument is overpushed, she was gone for most of the year.
Right.
Like I get she won the NXT Women's title, but
that's probably why I think the thought is that she stunted Rhea Ripley's potential to. But then again, Rhea spent a part of the year getting people over too, like Shirai and others. So.
And we continue.
Right. Tie at number 8 between Seth Rollins and The Miz.
Okay.
2020, Seth Rollins heel. I disagree with that because Seth Rollins, the heel character, got over.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And again, The Miz. I mean, if they want to call it over push, call it over push. Don't call it overrated. Like, Seth and The Miz are great at what they do. Charlotte's great at what she does.
I'm kind of surprised there's an AEW guy on this list. Number 7, Cody Rhodes.
I'd kind of agree with that.
I kind of agree with it too. I'm surprised he's on the list.
And it sounds weird because, sure, he had the TNT title and then he lost it to Brody, won it back. But then once he lost it to Darby, he really disappeared.
Yeah.
But every week when you have a Triple H WrestleMania style entrance, that seems a little low.
His interest over the top.
To me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. Number 6, Goldberg. I agree 100%. Should be higher on this list. Goldberg. Anytime Goldberg's even in earshot, he's overrated. Fucking guy. Look, I don't hate Goldberg. I just don't want to see him on TV anymore.
It's not even that I don't want to see him on TV. I don't want to see him in my title picture. You want to bring him back? You want to elevate somebody? Sure, that's fine.
Number 5, I know my co-host loves this one. Joe, Braun Strowman. Yeah. I'm over Strowman, dude. I'm over it.
I guess because he came in, he filled the Roman spot at Mania. Otherwise, I don't feel like
before that. I think what cool up for me, honestly, me and Joe, was that he made some comments about people not, complaining about the business and shit. And
I agree.
He's in a good spot.
That's where you got to question: are you going to separate reality from character? But here's the thing: after he lost the title, he kind of went away for a little while. I think he had an operation. Even when he came back, he was used kind of sparingly. And I get, it kind of sucks that he took that spot. But if you're going to have somebody beat Goldberg, I didn't necessarily hate it. I'm not the biggest Braun guy. I think they missed the huge opportunity. But
he's his best days behind him. His best days behind him, definitely. Yeah. Number 4, Nia Jax.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. This one I disagree with her heavily, but whatever. Number 3 is King Corbin. Not this high anyway.
Yeah, because you know what? He's great at what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's not. He hasn't won titles. He's not going out there and beating guys every night. He's going out there to be a chicken shit heel as the king. And here's the deal. My wife is not a wrestling fan. when we've been together, well, this year we've been married 10 years, so we've been together almost 12.
Oh wow, but 10 years
And
too for me. My wife also too.
nice, yeah.
April.
On April 16th.
April 4th. April
Nice.
3rd. Sorry, April 3rd.
Very nice.
Very good.
I always remember it's one day after tax day for us.
Yeah.
But when wrestling, when Raw would start when we were first together,
Mhm.
she would get up and leave. I mean, you start seeing Then Now Forever, and she's making
Wow.
dust trails getting out of the room. Now she kind of hangs in and she watches it, especially right now because with COVID and everything, Ryan doesn't get to come over. We don't get to watch pay-per-views and shows together, so she kind of hangs out with me a little bit during the show. But I've noticed her start to kind of engage a little bit with it. Like she actually kind of digs the King Corbin gimmick. Like she notices every week he's had kind of a different crown as of late, and it's where's his cape and his stuff. And so she gets into some of the stuff. The King gimmick is really great for what it is. He executes it well. Corbin's a guy that's gotten infinitely better over the last couple of years. So you want to put him on this list? Okay, sure, but he shouldn't be that high.
Top 3 King all time in WWE history. Macho King, maybe King Harley Race, and then
King Booker, maybe.
King Booker, yeah, that's a good point.
King Booker was a strong king.
Yeah.
I don't know. True. I'm trying to remember if we covered that. We did something with King.
King bracket.
We did something with Kings on our show, but Booker came up as a
Savage
strong.
Savage is probably number 1 and number 2.
Probably, yeah, obviously.
So great. Number 2 was Evil. I think that's New Japan, I believe. Number 1 was Bray Wyatt.
Wrong.
I totally agree with you.
I mean,
totally
again,
agree with you.
If you're and again, you have to look at audience of the Observer newsletters. You're looking at guys that are theoretically AEW fans, love pro wrestling, even though they're a sports entertainment show, and it's guys that are into Japanese wrestling, which obviously the Fiend ain't getting anywhere near, and Bray Wyatt ain't getting anywhere near. But most push, most overrated. I mean, he's a featured act, but he's not out there winning titles, and he's not out there. Yeah, no, that's he shouldn't even be on the list.
So the underrated list, I kind of agree with for the most part. So let me go backwards. Number 9, Aleister Black, absolutely underrated.
I'd agree.
Misused. 7 to AEW, man, please.
I think he's on his way. I don't know when his contract expires.
Yeah,
but with Zelina, parting ways. I think it's only a matter of time.
Great fit in AEW. Great fit.
I agree.
Number 8 is Toa Henare. I know who he is. So I'm sorry. 7, Rey Fenix. I don't know if we call him underrated. But, I mean, granted, they had less matches last year because of COVID, but they do get their shine. I don't know. They get their shine.
I could see that one. I don't think it's all
right. Ishii, number 6. This one I disagree with, actually, because he did get pushed when he came to Raw immediately. Keith Lee. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
He got his shine.
I mean, he was kind of a featured player right away, and I guess you could make the argument that it didn't result in any title wins or anything. But but
he was in the picture already.
If he gets a title win, then people are going to say that he was pushed too quickly. So
yeah,
I disagree with that one a little bit.
Yeah, me too. The tie. This one I totally completely agree with. On number 4, tie between Cesaro and Mustafa Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree with that one.
Yeah.
3, Riddle. 2, Chad Gable. Well, Shorty G.
Yeah.
And number 1, I know my guy's gonna hate this, but I don't give a shit. Ricochet. Underpushed. Absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah. I don't think they know what to do with him.
Right.
And it's a shame because here's the thing. I've seen that guy live. You think he's good on screen.
Mm-hmm.
If you see Ricochet live, it is baffling to see a human being move like that.
Yeah.
It defies logic. I just don't think WWE, I don't think they know it because he's not a heavyweight. He's not your prototypical Intercontinental Champion. So maybe he's a U.S. champion. But I feel like that's his peak in the WWE, sadly. I think he's a guy that would, and as much as I love him, I think he's a guy that would benefit either back in NXT or somewhere else, unfortunately.
Check this one out. This is an interesting one here. Best TV announcer.
Okay.
Want to take a stab who number one is?
Probably Excalibur.
Correct.
I think I did see that one.
He's good. I like him.
Good.
He's got the voice of the AEW, though.
My problem with the AEW commentary table is you have 3 play-by-play guys that constantly step on each other.
Yeah, they do.
It's not, and I particularly get keyed into stuff like that. And I don't think anybody on WWE is great as presented because they have too much stuff going on. It's always somebody in their ear. Plug this product, plug this show on the network, plug this, plug that. Like when Michael Cole, I think it was one of the UK tournaments or something like that, and Michael Cole just got to call matches. Michael Cole is actually really good at what he does.
Oh, of course, he's annoying though.
But the reason why people don't like him is, first off, he did that like heel run, like with like Lawler or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think people really hated him for that. But like, it is now you basically just become a running commercial.
Right.
But that's not his fault. That's the WWE's fault. But yeah, because I've done commentary on local indie shows, and with the 3 count guys, and we kind of go in. It's like, I know that and there are going to be times, like there's times with Buck and Aikman where Aikman will call a play because he's talking, and Russell Wilson breaks out of a sack. Aikman's got to call that action because he's talking. I get that. But AEW, it's all the time. They're constantly stepping on each other, and it's bothersome because, like, on our commentary team, generally, I kind of take care of the play-by-play stuff, and then we, like, one of the guys is kind of like the heel color guy, and the other one's kind of the face color guy, and we have a great rapport with each other. So, we know that, we understand that, and we try not to step on each other's toes. AEW, it bothers me all the time. Like Jim Ross is I love JR. I love JR.
I know you're going with this.
But like, I feel like JR, the role he would be best in right now is when he's doing like the sit down interviews with like FTR. Mm-hmm. I think JR is great in that spot. I don't think JR is great at calling matches anymore. And it's a shame. Yeah. And I think I think he's old. I think he's tired. I think that, obviously the death of his wife, that's going to fuck anybody up, man. Like, speaking
of JR, he was number 4 on both the best and worst announcer.
Dude, that's another goofy ass thing about that list. Cause like they had Bray Wyatt as like most overrated,
right?
But then like, he was like, it was like best gimmick. He was like number 6, and he was the number 1 worst gimmick. I'm like, in all of fucking wrestling,
make up your fucking mind.
Like, how is that even possible? If you're taking all of fucking wrestling, how is he the number 1 worst?
You say that as wear a Bray Wyatt t-shirt on this podcast.
Bray's my dude, man.
Yeah.
But like, how are they the best and the worst? It's not like Tom Brady, you're Super Bowl champions, and you're also the number 1 pick in the draft.
Right.
Like, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Yeah, pick your circumstance. Worst announcer, number 1, Michael Cole. No surprise there. Michael Cole is great what he does. Maybe clear with that. He's great what he does. But he's always annoyed me, even back in the late 90s.
That's fair. I like I said, I'm trying to remember exactly what tournament it was, and if I can't remember it now, I'll text you if I ever come up with it.
Okay.
But like, it was one of the UK tournaments, I think, when he just got to call action. He's actually really good.
It was excellent.
But it's
annoying.
It's time. I think he's one of those. It's time for and maybe COVID threw a wrench into that, because I felt like he was kind of winding down last year. But now you kind of need that familiar voice. I thought the first SmackDown in the Performance Center, when it was him and Triple H, that was great. I don't know if you specifically
saw. Yeah, that was the first show.
Those 2 guys together, and really, I think it's Triple H was just fucking with him the whole night.
Right.
But that was fun. I'd like to see them put that team back together for a night.
Here comes the big dog. Stop doing that. You gain back Michael Gracie again.
That's Vince telling him what to do.
Right. Fucking Vince.
Or somebody in the back. That's or it's boss time.
It's boss time. Yeah. I completely disagree with this one. Number 2 is his partner, Corey Graves. I think Corey Graves is great. I think, and again,
Not
the
the
reason why I
biggest
like him,
fan,
he reminds me of
he's
Jesse
good.
Ventura.
He's
He reminds
great.
me of Jesse Ventura. That's why.
Yeah. He's also dating Carmella, so he's automatically in a better spot in my book.
Right. Yeah, a lot of they shit on the WWE guys badly. Number 6, Byron Saxton, who I'm not really a big fan of personally, but whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of that goofy role.
Yeah.
He plays that goofy role.
But Tom Phillips, dude, I love Tom Phillips.
Phillips is good.
Phillips is amazing.
Good. Phillips and Samoa Joe together. That's a solid team, dude. That's a solid commentary team.
By the way, worst TV show was WWR. So there you go. There's a reason why.
The watch along. Ryan and I recorded a watch along today, and commentary team on that one is one that I think is actually pretty underrated. Vince McMahon, Mr. Perfect.
Ooh.
I liked that commentary team.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the good ones.
You know what one I didn't like? I didn't like Vince McMahon and Roddy Piper.
Is it because you didn't like Piper?
No, Piper's just too much.
Okay, I can see that. I don't. Did they go a long time with that pairing? Like, because I remember it was like around. I know he was on like one of the pay-per-views.
So he started in July of '90. He did SummerSlam '90 because Jesse left the company in July
of SummerSlam '90.
And Piper was there.
SummerSlam '90.
You loved it?
I love SummerSlam.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I saw that in real time actually.
I have the VHS. Right.
I used to have the VHS too. I used to have it.
And it was the big ass box, the one that came with a toothbrush in it.
Double main event.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that was I saw it in real time also. I was 10 years old.
I was 5. I don't think I saw that one. No, I know I didn't see that one live.
I saw actually SummerSlam 89 and 90 in real time.
Nice. I think the first pay-per-view I remember seeing in real time was WrestleMania 7.
Oh, really? I saw that one in real time too. That's the first one my mom ever actually ordered. I had to beg her to do it.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, Piper could be much. I love SummerSlam '90, but I couldn't listen to him on commentary every week.
It's too much. He's too much. What you I want you to guess this. Best gimmick of 2020. Should be easy.
Was it Brody Lee?
He's number 2 actually.
Okay, that's number 1.
Orange Cassidy.
Good Christ.
That makes sense though. That does make sense though.
Well, yeah, considering the audience. To me,
I mean,
it was the Fiend still. I mean, the way that, and it's because of the way that they utilized the Performance Center and the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
For Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Alexa Bliss. I mean,
so there's only one WWE guy in this list. Roman Reigns, number 3.
How? Like, I'm sorry.
Well, because the heel turn was.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sorry. There's 2 WWE guys in this. The Fiend, number 8. But the Fiend was the worst. As you said a while ago, the Fiend's the worst gimmick.
Yeah, Fiend should have been higher.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. But and like, here's the thing, because I jokingly refer to them as the AEW Slammy Awards, but the thing that to me is more annoying about it is like the WWE writes their own award show. This is supposed to be an objective, journey, and I get it. It's fan voting, but like, you're supposed to be a journalistic newsletter. There's no, and I get it. We're talking about pro wrestling, so you got to take it all with a grain of salt. But like, theoretically, there's supposed to be a degree of integrity, journalistic integrity, whatever, attached to it. And there just isn't this. There isn't. And it's not even the way the voting went. It's the way that Meltzer has gone out of his way to defend it. That's the stuff but if you just say, look, man, like, I don't necessarily agree with it, is how the people voted. Like, here's the thing, like, if you have a journalist reporting on America's Got Talent, you can be like, if somebody clearly not talented, if so less talented lost to somebody, you can be like, well, there's just the way America voted. I can't really defend it, but America spoke, and that's who won. But Dave's like, no, this is how it is, and Orange Cassidy is the best, and best TV show, and whatever, man. Like, Tony Khan, Booker of the Year, like, I get it. There's not one guy writing a book in WWE, but like, how many weeks are we gonna have a 12-man tag match every week? Everybody wants to laugh at like Teddy Long and his tag matches. How many straight weeks have we had a 10-man, 8-man, 12-man tag on Dynamite?
Right.
It's like every week for the past 6 weeks.
Exactly.
It's a year in my ass, dude. That show's gotten and guess what? It happens. It's hard to write weekly TV. It's the same stuff. I said this back before Dynamite started. I said they're going to run into the same problems WWE's having. It's hard to write weekly TV every week and make it make sense and make it good. And then, look, you guys, wins and losses. You have a wins and loss standing, and it doesn't make sense. So how are you going to say Booker of the Year when you're going to have guys that are challenging for titles that aren't even in your rankings list?
Right, agree.
Doesn't make sense. How is it? WWE, you may not understand how Miz can win 3 matches in a calendar year and end up as WWE champion, without the exception of he won Money in the Bank, but they don't have a standings board. You can't go to a power ranking and say, well, Miz wasn't even on the power rankings list. You have that in AEW, and constantly guys that are number 1, number 2, number 3 on the weekly rankings aren't in the title pictures. And how make it make sense? And it doesn't. But people, and I get it. They've been doing it for 2 years, and WWE's been doing it for 60. But
60 years,
you want to walk into the room swinging your dick around, and then you run out of the ability to say, well, we've only been doing it for 2 years.
Right. Hold on a second.
Stop waving your dick around, man. It's not that's the frustrating part to me.
Right. Totally with you on that. All right. Fuck this wrestling